Hello everyone, I want to use this opportunity to thank you all for the calls, the messages and voice notes of solidarity and support over the past 24 hours. I am truly grateful. Although the news about the dismissal of our defamation suit against the Member of Parliament was unexpected, I disagree with the judge's reasoning, both on law and the facts. When I started this line of work 22 years ago, I never assumed it would be an easy road. Yet, it is the evidence in my work and the commitment to truth and justice that has always led and prevailed against all the forces that have worked to pull us down. My team and I remain unwavering despite the attacks on us. From the death of Ahmed to the constant threats on our lives, we remain guided by the principles of fairness, integrity, and courage as we continue our investigation in the public interest. My team of lawyers and I have carefully studied the judgment delivered by the court, and we are unanimous that the judge made an overreach and descended into the arena and made criminal pronouncement about me as if I was standing a criminal trial. He also justified the MP accusing me of the murder of the late J.B. Dankwa, murder of 20 Chinese nationals, and a host of other crimes. We are filing an appeal because there was no evidence provided. Last year, we also filed another defamation action against the MP in the United States, where he made similar defamatory statements against me. The case is ongoing. As a student and practitioner, I strongly believe in the rule of law. That's why I initiated the action in the first place. The fight continues till we can create a just society for ourselves and the next generation. We will continue to build for God and country. Nothing will stop us from fighting corruption for Mother Ghana.
So that be Anas Arameyao, Anas, my people. Anas, what shall I
begging me. I told you yesterday. Don't do that outside. Don't do that in the public. I told you yesterday. But no, look at the language he's using. The whole court. Please, you can send that the judge rules. Don't do that outside.
Calm down, please.
My friend, call him to order.
Calm down.
Call him to order. What do you mean? Who the hell do you also think you are? They are lawyers, so what? Please, yes, what do you mean? Please, let me about something. I'm advising you see, the other guy is nice.
Calm down. That's what
anything happens to your life. What do you mean? No, who gives you a junior? I'm also a lawmaker. And I'll take him on. This one is very nice. We're a professional. Well, maybe you come pass yourself. But I'm one. I mean, Mark school, maybe you are not disrespecting your court. I quite a time or two who come pass yourself. We're a lawyer. We are young. Fuck you. I didn't know what's wrong. Small boy, maybe you are not disrespecting me. And he will fail. No trouble. Everything happens. I will lie. I say I'll take you on. Legally, I'm a lawmaker. So why do you say if your life is a and sarcastically, that is the impression. Wanas no kumi partner what you mean? Wasia. Wanas okunkum koforo utumika. Wasia u dependent. I catch him some me a metra. Fool. Why are not to Jimmy for those who do was yes? What is all this woman? In this room, open from Cotumune, and then on from Cotum. What do you hear with Funo at that area? Was your campus, yes? What Jimmy? What is going on in this country? Yes. Yeah, that means you say something a matter.
That's what you want to do. Just basically baby stuff. How can you?
No, the other guy, I'm not saying okay, he only has a question. Oh, we did your back or try to make this to be intelligent. What do you mean? You respect him? How about that disrespecting him? Fool! Please let me slow up. Also, go and sleep. That's the lawyer. Go and sleep. Thank you. But campus, yes, how would you do? Go and sleep. That's yeah. Ah, Anas, we didn't, sir. Please.
Good.
MPP Boy Robinson, I'm show video. I'm only holding it. Be a better as a miming can be I'm sure. We are not good. On the 8th of February, these evil boys recorded ministers and lawyers in Dubai. I have the video. MPP, the cultural president, they are three chief of staff. Yeah, make sure they are not the whole Ghana. What I think the episode, why didn't you bring it? And you got a nerve to defend a criminal like that and come and insult me.
Now, the court took the opportunity to explain the burden and standard of proof. And I've been reading social media. I've seen people have spoken about it. And some people are concerned that Anas was the one who sued. But it looks like the court has said more about what Kennedy said than what Anas said. And if you read the judgments, you will see that the judge acknowledges that the burden of proof shifted. What is the burden of proof, if I have to say it in basic language? So if I go to court and I say that somebody has sued me, I am alleging that the person said this. I have to show that the person said it. So I take a document to court and say that he said it on Good Evening Ghana on 15th May 2021. So that's my proof that the person said these things about me. Okay. Now, when the person says that the thing I said about you is true, then the burden of proof shifts onto him to establish the truthfulness of what he's saying. But then there's something else called the standard of proof. It's not the burden of proof anymore. It's the standard of proof. So the burden of proof is who should prove to the court. Is it me or is it you? You may be saying something about me, but you have to prove it. I may be saying something about you, but I have to prove it. So that's where the court assesses the burden of proof. Who has the burden of proof? And the burden of proof is always on the one who is alleged. But in a matter like this, the burden of proof slightly shifts. Because if I allege as Anas that I am Anas, Kennedy Agyapong, you have defamed me. You said that I'm a thief. You said that I have murdered JB Dankwa. You said that I'm corrupt. You said I'm a blackmailer. This is where you said it. How do you know that I'm a blackmailer? If you can't show me that I'm a blackmailer, then you have defamed me. You pay me 25 million. Then Kennedy Agyapong comes and says that, no, court. He is a blackmailer indeed. He is a criminal indeed. He is corrupt indeed. I will show this court why he's a blackmailer. As soon as I say that, the burden of proof shifts from Anas onto Kennedy to be able to tell us where is he finding these things from. And then we come to the standard of proof. So the standard of proof is the next level. What should be the standard when he's proving it? So there are two standards in law. One is the very difficult one, the criminal standard. You have to establish the matter beyond reasonable doubt. We all say that all the time. What does it mean? It means that there should be no shred of doubt about the allegations that you are making onto somebody as a criminal so that he goes to jail if he loses the trial. There should be no iota of doubt. Once he raises a small doubt, he's free to go. In this one, which is not a criminal matter, which is not the state versus somebody, is one Ghanaian versus another, the standard of proof is actually lower. The standard of proof, as they say, it is on the balance of probabilities. That's how the lawyer says, on the balance of probabilities. So the judge is listening to Kenneth Agyapong and listening to Anas. Anas is going to explain, is going to give a rejoinder to whatever Kennedy says about him. The judge is listening to both of them. He is going to ask himself, on the balance of probabilities, who is more likely to be telling this court the truth? More likely. They don't know who is telling the court the truth for sure. They really can't tell because they are listening to people. They don't know whether it's true or not. But on the balance of probability, is it Anas who is more likely to be speaking the truth, or is it Kennedy who is more likely to be speaking the truth? I'll give you an example. So two of us are fighting over land, and somebody makes an allegation and says that the land is mine. But on Friday, Paul Adom went there. He was there he went with land guards, and they beat up my people, and they did this, that, and so, and he violated all the rules, and he's forcibly taking the land from me. And then the judge says, is that what happened? He says, yes, I went there, he was there. Then they said, Mr. Adom, I said, I've never been to the land and even seen him before. We've never met. I know it's my land, I've never been there. He said, when did this happen? They said, it happened on Friday. Then I said, my lord, he says Friday I was in Kumasi. This is me. This is me in Kumasi on Friday. This event that you all saw on television, I was there. That means I couldn't have been at the land in Accra. So on the balance of probability, I am more likely to be telling the truth. The court will hold that the fact that I have showed that on that day I wasn't in Accra, I am more likely to be. It doesn't mean I didn't take tax there some other day to break it down. It doesn't mean all that. Maybe she said Friday when she should have said Tuesday, anything. But on the fact of me attending the land, the court will hold on the balance of probability. Paul is more likely to be telling the truth because he wasn't even in Accra. So the standard of proof that a judge is articulating here is as follows. Let's read it. In a civil suit, he says, the primary burden of proof, that is the duty of producing evidence in support of averments necessary for the court's decision, is upon the party who made the averment. The primary burden of proof is usually on the plaintiff, which is this case Anas, because he made the primary averment, the primary claim. I'm changing the word averment to claim. He made the primary claim when he instituted the action. Let's move on. However, the court says, where the plaintiff adduces sufficient evidence in discharge of the primary burden, the onus shifts under Section 14 of Act 323 onto the defendant, Kenneth Agyapong, who under Section 10(2) of Act 323 is required to adduce sufficient evidence in rebuttal in order to avoid a ruling against him on the particular issue. It says, see, 5E versus the State Hotels Corporation. He's quoting. So the judge is telling us here that whereas Anas is the one who made the claim, once he's been able to discharge the burden of where these allegations were made, where these defamatory marks were made, and he showed videos and evidence, TV, Net2, Boiling Point, and all of that. Anas showed all that. The judge says that once Anas has done that, the burden has shifted onto Kenneth Agyapong under Section 10. Because Anas has the burden under Section 14. Once he discharges the burden under Section 10, the burden shifts to Kenneth Agyapong to establish. Okay, let's move on. So this is the position of the law on defamation. The elements that the claimant has to satisfy in order for a defamation action to succeed. One, that the words must be capable of defamatory meaning. That the words were actually defamatory. That the words referred to the claimant, and that the words were published by the defendant to at least one person other than the plaintiff. And all of that is on page 13 of the judgment. So this is quite simple. The law says that the words that are being discussed must be defamatory. They must also be referring to the claimant. So sometimes it says, so that's where you find in defamation. Somebody says that the person who hosts an evening program on TV in Accra is not sensible. Then I go to court and I say, hey, he's talking about me. I've sued him in defamation. The court will then come here and say that the words must refer to the claimant. So they'll ask you, Mr. Adom, why did you say that it is you? The person said, the guy who does an evening program on TV is not sensible. Why is he you? And I said, I do an evening program. I said, but you're not the only one who does an evening program. And he didn't mention your name. So there, I will fail on this level, which says that the words must refer to the claimant. That's why it's very simple for journalists to avoid defamation. I tell them all the time, just use certain words. If you understand the defamation, just use certain. People ask me all the time, you're always shouting on TV, you don't get sued. I said, because if you look at it, it's not that people don't try to sue. They do. But if you look at the material, you will find that in these listings, you will find that there's a problem there if you want to pick up a real defamation suit. But anyway, let's move on. All right. Defense in defamation action are the following. So these are the defenses that can accrue to anyone in a defamation action. Please put on the screen. Let's read with the viewers. Okay. One is an absolute privilege. So something like absolute privilege is the one that Parliament has. So if Sam Nate George is standing in Parliament and says, Paul Adom, I can't actually sue him, you see, because he has an absolute privilege as a member of Parliament. So members of Parliament, when they speak in the Chamber of Parliament, cannot be held for defamation. The law is so that they can have the peace of mind to do their work, and they will not have the intimidation not to be able to speak about certain people. So if tomorrow Mubarak Muntaka says that he stands on the floor of the Parliament and says anything at all he wants to say about me, I cannot sue because he has the absolute privilege of a member of Parliament. Then there's a qualified privilege. A qualified privilege as a defense for libel is one in which, say, President of Ghana cannot be sued. President of Ghana cannot be sued until within 3 years after his leaving the office of presidency. So if the President of Ghana currently says something about me, President Akufo-Addo says that Paul Adom is a madman, I really can't do much because he will access qualified privilege. When he has finished his government, within 3 years, under the Constitution, I can come and say that when he was a president, he was giving a session address, he said that I was mad, and I'm not mad. Then I can sue him. But if he says I was mad today, he will come under qualified privilege. I can't sue him. The next level of defense is fair comment. Okay, what is fair comment? Fair comment is that what I said is fair. That company X, they are called this. They like doing these things too much. And then the company sues me. And I said that, but it's fair comment. The other day we saw the water, we saw the drink with it, so it's fair comment. It's not, I'm not defaming them, it's fair comment. And fair comment is usually used when you are dealing with big corporations where you don't actually have information. They are corporates, their information is with them, so you don't know, you are speaking on Good Morning Ghana or some panel discussion on radio, then you say something, you can plead fair comment. And then you can also plead justification. Justification that the thing that I said was true. Everything I said about Paul Adom is true. And if you take me to the court, I will show that it is true. That's how Kennedy has succeeded today. He pleaded justification. He said, everything I'm saying about Anas is true. Let's go to the trial. I will show you. And we will show you how the judge said it. And then the last one is consent. Consent means that don't listen to Paul Adom. He knew that I was going to say that. So it didn't take him by surprise. So if he comes to say, so I come and say that, oh, I know Paul Adom very well. He eats a lot. He can eat 1,000 bowls of fufu and he will smoke cigarettes the whole day. He will be drunk the whole day, and I go to his house and he's always drunk whiskey. Yes, you go and say those things and I sue him. He says, oh, but I told him, he knows. I sent him a text that I'm going on Good Evening Ghana, I'm going to say these things about you, and he sent me laughter. So he knew about it. That's consent. That's in consent, you cannot sue. Okay, so now these are the defenses available. Let's see what happened. All right. Agyapong argued on the basis of fair comment and justification. That was his defense. He said it's fair and it's justified. All right, fair comment. Let's deal with it. Honest and fair commentary by way of comment and criticism of public interest. Okay, all right, we've dealt with this. I've said that already. Agyapong argued on the basis of fair comment and justification. All right, so fair comment, all of this must be present. One, it must be a matter of public interest. For you to be able to, for the fair comment, the defense of fair comment to accrue to you, or justification, all of these three elements must be present. That the matter that you have disclosed is a matter of public interest. That the comment must be founded on facts. That the thing that you are saying, somebody is a thief, somebody is a blackmailer, somebody is a criminal, it must be founded on facts. And that the comment must be an opinion. That based on those facts, this is the opinion that you have formed. So that's the defense. Let's move on very quickly. Justification is as follows. A defendant who raises the defense of justification to a defamation suit says that the words he published are wholly or substantially true. He assumes that the burden of proving the truth of the words published, he assumes the burden of proving the truth of the words published, full stop. A defense of justification is an absolute defense to a defamation action at common law. All right. You also see that in the justification, it says that he, Agyapong, assumes the burden of proving the truth of the words published. Okay, let's move on. This is the ruling of the court now. All right. So now we are finalizing, isn't it? We are getting to the end. The ruling of the court is here. So we know what Anas said. We know how Kennedy defended himself. We have seen how the burden of proof has shifted from Anas to Kennedy Agyapong. We don't know whether Kennedy, we know now that the court agreed with Kennedy, but we are now going to find out how Kennedy justified his claims. All right. So this is the court's holding. The court held that Kennedy Agyapong's statements were made in the public interest to expose the corruption that was ongoing in the camp of Anas. The court uses the word corruption and also uses the word ongoing and uses the expression the camp of Anas. So that's quite interesting. The court held that Kennedy Agyapong's statements were made in the public interest to expose the corruption in the camp of Anas. All right, how did the court come to that conclusion? Let's move on. 2, the court held that Kennedy Agyapong was able to prove the truth in his allegations against Anas.